Eric Erickson has a great question today at his Eric on the Radio website. Why does global warming only turn Muslims into terrorists? We'll get to that in just a moment. I keep telling people if you're hearing this show, then you're hearing a lot. You're going to be hearing things you wouldn't hear elsewhere. So you'd like to keep hearing this show for that reason. Well, if you are starting to have some difficulty or think you might have some difficulty with your hearing, you need to give a telephone call to Dr. Christine Pickup, a doctor of audiology at Mount Harrison Audiology in Rupert. Her phone number, 208-312-0957, and you can also find out more online at mountharrisonaudiology.com. Hearing loss is strongly associated with depression. When you struggle to follow a conversation, or you politely nod because you don't understand what someone is talking about, you may decide it's easier to skip out on that night with friends or the next family gathering. You wouldn't want to miss the family gathering this Thursday. Stay connected with those you love. Hearing connects you with people and keeps you engaged in life. Don't let hearing loss keep you from enjoying your family and your friends. 924, Bill Colley with you on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. 26. Wow, we're up to 26. You know, we're going to have some overnight lows in the single digits a little later this week. I moved to Idaho for the warmth, and I'm a little surprised by all of that. Eric Erickson, why does global warming only turn Muslims into terrorists? And if you listen to Martin O'Malley or Bernie Sanders or Barack Obama and any other of these ne'er-do-wells in the Democrat Party, they'll tell you that the reason that these people are so upset in that part of the world and that we're having so much violence is because the economic calamity that has been wrought by global warming. If that is so, Erickson writes, if global warming causes terrorism, then I think the Democrats need to answer this question. Why does global warming only turn Muslims into terrorists? There are Jews in the Middle East and Africa. There are Christians in the Middle East and Africa. He goes on to write, there are animists, Zoroastrians, Hindus, and others, but only certain Muslims, often from wealthy families, turn into terrorists. The Jews, Christians, animists, Zoroastrians, Hindus, and the rest never seem to be affected by global warming in the same way. Now, do you think that question might seem a little too obvious for your average liberal out there? I mean, could somebody who's a registered Democrat tell me if you've given that any thought or if you have an explanation for it? 736-0300. 736-0300. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you on Top Story. And you're next. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning. People should look at the map of the United States, look at the Great Lakes. Millions of years before there were factories and SUVs, there was global warming. Look at the Great Lakes and see how they were formed. And there's thousands of lakes that were formed by glaciers in Wisconsin, Michigan, and elsewhere. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah. This whole global warming thing, but we get to it. I've got to share with you, the number of Americans who think it's a concern is about 3/4. On the other hand, there's a very funny piece today by the writer David Hersani, and I'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. But speaking of this situation going on in the Middle East, Donald Trump is being accused of trying to put together a government list of Muslims in this country because of an interview he gave in a very impromptu form with a CNN reporter the other day. Now, you may have heard this. So this is exactly what CNN reported.
U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump, he is weighing in, suggesting that a database be used to keep track of Muslim immigrants in the United States. Listen.
Should there be a database system that tracks the Muslims here in this country?
There should be a lot of systems beyond database. I mean, we should have a lot of systems. And today you can do it.
But that's something your White House would like to implement.
Oh, I would certainly implement that. Absolutely.
Specifically, how do you actually get them registered into a database?
It would be just good management. What you have to do is good management.
Now, what they didn't tell you is that is an edited soundbite. You can actually see the click. If you are ever in television, you know what I'm talking about, where there's suddenly a bit of a jump in the middle of what you're watching. Because Trump says there should be a lot of systems beyond databases. We should have a lot of systems, and today you can do it. And then in the CNN story, the reporter says, is that something your White House would like to implement? I would certainly implement that, absolutely, he says. But that's not exactly the full story, because Trump said there should be a lot of systems beyond databases. We should have a lot of systems, and today you can do it. Now, the edit shows the CNN reporter then asking the follow-up question, but Breitbart.com says Trump continued to talk before the question and said, but right now we need to have a border, we have to have strength, we have to have a wall, and we cannot let what's happening to this country happen any longer. So he's talking about the border fence that he's been talking about building for months now. And then the reporter says, is that something your White House would like to implement? Do you get what's just been done there? They've tried to make it sound as if he wants to. He says, absolutely, I'll put together a list of their names, when he was talking about the border fence. You're up next. You're on the air at 9:28.
Hi, thank you. A few years ago in Jerome, some Gideons came through and left some Bibles in the schools. They used to do that quite a bit. Are you there?
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, anyway, they used to do that quite a bit. Well, there was this fellow here with a daughter, and he got upset and sued the school district and won. And so, they had to take all the Gideon Bibles out, and it just is so irritating that one person can do that.
And he probably wonders why no one will talk to him on the street any longer, and then says people are being mean, and you've hurt his feelings, so that he's going to have to sue all of you again.
They found out that he was going from place to place doing this.
Oh, yeah.
And, when I graduated from the University of Utah College of Nursing, and the Gideons gave us a little white New Testament, I thought it was great. I thought it was nice of them, Anyway.
Hey, wonderful gift. Hey, you too, thank you. There's a story at Christian Post that I saw yesterday. Atheist group wants removal of obnoxious Gideon Bibles from hotel rooms. Now, they're being specific. They're talking about rooms, for instance, if you go to a national park and they have, because it's a government-run facility, still, if the Gideons donated out of the good, you don't have to read it, okay? No one's making you do it. It's not like you're having a grand mal seizure because the Bible, I'm melting.